for our quiz tomorrow, quiz review. Let's see. Again, guys, you can use your charts tomorrow, right? Your factoring flow charts. These, you can use those tomorrow. Okay. So if I'm looking at number one here, the first thing I have to do is factor out any common terms. Can I factor out any common factors? Why, yes, Mr. D, you can. Well, which ones? The what? Well, Mr. D, you can take out a 3 from the numbers. And I also see you got 3 P's in the first term and 2 P's in the second term. So that means you can take out 2 P's at the same time. So, okay, great, Mr. D. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take 3P cubed and divide it by 3P squared. That leaves me with P to the first, or just P. And 24 divided by 3 is 8. And P squared divided by P squared is just nothing. So here's my answer. There's nothing. I can't factor any the P plus 8 any further, so I'm done. See, number 3.
Is there going to be like previous?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I put what did I put? Exponents.
And factoring, and they have some scores.
Okay, so number 3. Can I factor out any common terms? Why, no, I can't, Mr. D. Well, that's fantastic. Then let's follow our little flow chart here. What type of polynomial do I have? Well, I have 3 terms, Mr. D. So I'm going to use reverse FOIL or guess and check. Okay. Now, this one's actually kind of easy because my coefficient A for the B squared, right, is 1. So I know the only way I can do this is B times B to get B squared. Now I'm going to look at the factors of 30. So I have 1 times 30, 2 times 15, see, 3 times 10, or 5 times 6, right? And I believe that's it. Okay, then I look at the sign of our constant, which is a positive. So either both have to be positive or both have to be negative. To determine positive and negatives, I look at the sign of B, the middle term, and it's positive. So I know that I'm working with a plus plus. Plus plus. So I'm going to be adding these two factors together to get that 11. Okay, 1 plus 30 is 31. That's not it. 2 plus 15, 17. Nope. 3 plus 10 is 13, and 5 plus 6 is 11. So I'm going to use 5 plus 6. And of course, you can always check these by using your arches. Positive 5 times b is positive 5b. Positive b times positive 6 is positive 6b.
Is this how long the test is going to be?
Add those together, and you get 11b. What's that?
Is this how long the test is going to be?
I thought it should be a little longer.
Than this?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, what? No. Never mind.
Just make it the same as this, please.
Hey, yo, we can have
It's gonna be, I forgot, but it's probably going, because I'm doing the odds, you guys are doing the evens,
Yeah.
so it'll probably be half of the problems,
Oh, okay.
the quiz.
Okay.
I can't remember. I think it's like 17 questions or something like that. All right.
Remember, when we're going over review, bad time to be playing on our phones, goofing around, having our Chromebooks open, having music on.
Yeah, that's not very bright.
Not good. You got an extra pencil.
Okay, number,
Thank
see,
you.
number 5. Uh, we have a coefficient other than 1 for the k squared. Makes it a little bit more difficult, but this one's still not too bad because 3 is a prime number, right? So when I go to put that first term in there, the only way to get 3 is 3 times 1, right? And the only way to get k squared is k times k. Okay? Then I'm going to do the factors of 90, right? So the factors of 90, I've got 1 times 90, 2 times 45, 3 times 30. Let's see, is 4 going in there? Nope. 5 does. 5, let's see, goes in the 9 once, 4 left, so 18. 5, 6. 6 goes in there. 6 goes in the 9 once, gives me 3 left over for 30, so 15. 7 doesn't, 8 doesn't, 9 does. 9 times 10. So there's my factors. Going to look at the signs, right? I got a negative sign. So either I'm going to have a positive times a negative or a negative times a positive. So this, not only do we have a lot of factors for 90, but we have choices of plus and minus. This is actually turning into kind of a hard problem. So I don't know where if I'm going to have a plus here and a minus here or a minus here and a plus here. Now notice one of these factors we're going to end up subtracting because one's minus, one's plus. And on top of it, one of these factors that I choose is going to be multiplied by 3. So this is where the guess and check comes into play here. I'm going to have to do this with my arches because I'm going to be trying several different things. As uh, always try and start out with the closest factors. It just seems like a lot of these problems end up with the close factors. So if now these are going to have to subtract to a negative 3, right? So if I put the 10 here and the 9 here, that gives me 30 here and 9 here. If I subtract those, I get 21. Not even close. So it's not 10, 10 and 9 is not going to work. Unless I switch them. Let's see if I put the 10 here and 9 here. Let's try that. See, 27 and 10. Getting a little closer, got 17. But 10 and 9 are not going to work. I got to try another one. Anyone you guys
Five and 18.
want to try 5 and 18? Ooh, very good. Did you do that in your head?
Maybe.
If I put the 5 there and the 18 here, let's see, this gives me 18, right? 18 times 1k. This gives me 15. Now, if I subtract those, I get a 3, right? Which is what we need. Now, I need the bigger number,
So it's negative.
negative 18, right? Because we need a negative 3. So the bigger number gets the minus sign. Smaller number gets the plus. Does everybody see how we did that? This is negative 18k, positive 15k leaves me with a negative 3k. So there's my answer. 3k minus 18, and I did goof this up, didn't I? See, I told you I would be screwing this up eventually. What didn't I do? I just turned the really easy problem into a hard problem. I broke my own rules. I broke the flowchart thing, didn't I?
First step, any factoring problem.
What did I screw up, guys? I might just leave this video. I'm recording this. I might just leave this on there just to show you how a simple problem just became really difficult. I didn't factor out a three, right? I could have factored out a three here. Three, let's see, I would have k squared minus k minus 30. Isn't this a whole lot simpler to factor than this? Because I'm not done here. I would have to factor out a 3 over here to get k minus 18, k plus 5, k minus 6. This would have been a whole lot easier, right? Probably could have done this in your head. K here, a plus here, a minus there. Remember, that's a 1. So 6 and 5, the 6 had to be bigger. Do you see the difference? Because I didn't follow the flow chart. All right, number 7. Number 7's a little harder yet because 8 is not a prime number. Let's just make sure that we can't factor out any common terms, right? 8, 2, and 3. Good. I can't factor anything out. Okay, so factors of 8. So I have 1 and 8, 2 and 4. And then factors of 3. Well, I'm lucky there because I only have 1 and 3. Let's see, it's a minus. So either I'm going to use a plus times a minus or a minus times a plus. Okay, here we go. We're going to have to do guess and check on the whole thing. Again, I'm going to start with the closer factors. So I'm going to use 2x and 4x. And, well, I don't know if I'm going to use a plus times a minus or a minus times a plus. And I only have one set of factors to check. So I'm just going to put the 1 here and the 3 there. Okay, outer 2x times a positive 3 is 6x. I'm using a minus here and a plus there. Inner negative 1 times 4x is negative 4x. And when I combine these terms, I get a positive 2x, which is what I want. So I got really, really lucky here. So my factors, 2x minus 1 times the quantity 4x plus 3. Here's my factors. Yes, ma'am.
Can I answer that?
Sure can. Okay, number 9. Can I factor out any common terms? Using my flowchart. Not going to make that mistake twice. No, I can't. Can I? What type of polynomial do I have? Well, I have 2 terms this time, right? So we should be asking ourselves, is this a difference of squares? Now my squares, 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, and so forth. Well, this is a 9. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3 squared a squared minus 1 squared. So it's a difference of squares. Now, my a and b, because I'm going to have to put it in the formula, and it's going to be a little confusing because I use the variable a here. Okay, my a is going to be the base 3a. My b is going to be the base 1. So if I put that in our formula, I'm going to have a plus b and a minus b. So a, which is 3a, plus b, which is 1, and then I got a, 3a, minus b, which is 1. There's my answer. Okay. So factoring is pretty hard, right? That's why we spent quite a bit of time on it. All right, 2.7. We were learning absolute value functions, right? That's what we did yesterday. And I had you guys using a calculator to graph the functions, right? To find out what the vertex was and um, sketch the graphs and stuff. But I told you about the transformations, right? Inside the mathematical symbols, we move it left or right. And it was opposite the sign, right? Opposite sign. Outside the mathematical symbols, we go up or down, and it was with the sign. So my transformation here, I have two of them. The 3, the minus 3, is inside the mathematical symbol, so we go opposite. So it's going to go right 3, and then it's going to go with the symbols outside. So up 7. Okay. The negative sign tells us to reflect, and because we're not adding anything, we're not moving up or down, this one is going to reflect about the y-axis. I'm sorry, x-axis. Okay. Now, if we were looking at this one, number 11, and it had a negative sign there, we would be reflecting about the y equals 7 line. Because we're adding 0 here, we're reflecting about the x-axis. Make sense? Did I hear a no?
How do you reflect about the accent?
Okay. No, no, no. It's a good question. I want you guys to make sure you understand it. Um, let's go ahead and graph number 15. Okay. I'm going to put it in the calculator. Okay. So if I put it in the calculator, I have 3 times the absolute value. Remember, I hit the math button, go to num, absolute value, and yours might have the actual bars. And I put in x plus 2, and mine I have to close parentheses. You probably have to use the arrow button to get out of those absolute value bars. Then I'm going to subtract 7. Okay. Then I'm going to graph it. So this one has actually 3 transformations, right? We have the plus 2 inside, the minus 7 outside, and the slope is changed from 1 to 3. Okay, so I'm going to get some points here, and hopefully I can figure out what the vertex is. I'm going to hit second graph, and I'm going to look for numbers y that start to repeat. So I had -1, -4, -7, -4, -1. So -4 starts to repeat, which means -2, -7 is my vertex. -2, -7 is my vertex. -2, -7 is my vertex.
Wait, why does the four keep the repeat?
See how the -4 it repeats?
Oh, I was on the wrong one.
So I know that this is my vertex. Okay, and then I'm going to plot 2 more points. I'm going to use this -3, -4, -3, -4, and -1, -4. So there's my V. See how my slope changed? It made it stretch, skinnier. Bless you. All right. Now, let's talk about the reflect. So for number 15, I'm done. However, we're going to talk about that reflection. Okay. This number is the line that you reflect about. It's called our K, and we're going to get to that next week. Okay. So here's my vertex, -7. There's my K. So the line y equal -7 is right here. Goes through our vertex. Are you with me? Okay. If I had a negative sign here, it would reflect about the y equals -7 line. So I'd go 1, 1, 2, 3. I'm just using the slope. 1, 1, 2, 3. See how it reflects about that line? Acts as like my mirror. So let's go back to our other problem. This determines what line I'm reflecting about. Y equals, that's a horizontal line. We go back to our problem that we were talking about. Notice that I don't have like a -7 here. In fact, I don't have anything there, right? So technically, I'm adding a 0. So that means that this is being reflected about the y equals 0 line, right? With me? Are you with me? Do you understand? Well, the y equals 0 line is what? It's the x-axis. Okay? The y equals 0 line is the x-axis. That's why I stated it reflects about the x-axis, because it's the y equals 0 line. Yeah, these transformations get hard, and especially when we get to harder functions. So it's really, I don't mind taking the time to explain that. Okay, we have that. Now, the number in front, the 4, remember, is going to tell us whether we stretch or compress. If our A is greater than 1, that's our A in the formula. It's actually 4. It's going to stretch. If it's a fraction between 0 and 1, if A is a fraction between 0 and 1, like 1/2, 1/3, 3/4, it's going to compress. And it's got to be less than 1. So, like a fraction like 5/3 isn't going to work. 5/3, I'm sorry, 5/3, one of these days I'm going to figure out how to get it on my computer screen too. So 5/3 wouldn't work because it's greater than 1. 2/3 would work. It would be compressed because it's between 0 and 1. Okay. So I'm looking at this 4. That means it's going to stretch by 4. So not only is it going to flip or reflect about the x-axis, it's going to stretch by 4. And number 13, well, number 13, we have 1, 2, 3 transformations, right? So it's going to, this is bigger than 1, so it's going to be stretched by 2. And then opposite inside the mathematical symbol, so it's opposite the sign, so it's going to be left 8. And then follow the sign outside the symbol, down 5. Okay? Makes a little more sense today. I did 16. You guys can do 14. And then the last section here is review of exponent properties. This is a retake. Um, Number 16 says, what are the 3 rules? I'm not sure what that means. Um, it looks like,
That's she talks. Is this an Abruzzo moment?
yeah.
She talks about like no negatives, all things combined.
I was just going to say that. Combining, it looks like negatives, and then we have the power. So, um, yeah, I get it. Okay, I have 3 to the first. So, and I have an exponent outside parentheses. I have to distribute to each exponent, right? So I have 3 to the 1 times 3, which is 3. X to the negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Then I have y to the 5 times 3, which is 15. So there's one rule, power rule. And then we're going to combine anything. We don't have anything to combine, so we're good there. But the third rule, we have a negative exponent. Can't leave it a negative exponent in there. So I'm going to put it over 1. 3 to the third is 27. See, I'm going to move this x to the negative 9 to the denominator and make that a positive 9 and leave the y to the 15th. There's my answer. $17. Okay, I have 16 divided by 8 is 2 to the positive first, so it's just 2. 2 over 1. I have a to the, now I'm thinking of these as individual fractions because these have the same base, right? So I have a to the minus 7, and I'm going to subtract the minus 3. So that gives me a, this turns into plus. Negative 7 plus 3 is a to the negative 4. Now remember, that's over 1. I got to get rid of that negative 4, so I'm going to put it in the denominator and make it a positive 4. Okay. Then I've got, let's see, the c's. C to the 8 minus 4 gives me c to the 4. It's positive, so I'm going to keep it up in the numerator. Number 18, I have an exponent outside parentheses, so I have to distribute it. So I have x to the 0 times 3 is x to the 0. Y to the 2 times 3 is y to the 6 over x to the 4th, y to the negative 1. Now, anything to the 0 power is just 1. I'm just going to put a 1 there. Okay, so I don't have anything to worry about with the x's because I just made that a 1. So I have 1 over x to the 4th. Then I got to take a look at the y's. Let's see, I got a y to the 6 minus a negative 1, which turns it into a plus. So I have y to the 7th. It's positive, so it's going to stay on top. Questions thus far? Now, if you got a 4 or even a b on the first time on the exponents, you look on Skyward, you won't have to do this section on the quiz tomorrow, right? That 5 has an exponent of 1. Again, I have to distribute to each exponent. And since the denominator is also included in the parentheses, I have to multiply those exponents as well. So 5 to the 1 times 2 is 2. X to the negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Y to the 3 times 2 is 6. And x to the 7 times 2 is 14. Okay, nothing I can do with the 5 except just square it. 5 squared is 25. The only y I have is in the denominator, and it's a positive exponent, so we're good there. So the only thing I have to worry about is the x to the negative 4 minus 14, which comes out as the x to the negative 18. It's a negative exponent, so I'm going to have to flip it and put it in the denominator and make it a positive 18. Okay? All right, 20. You know what? Why don't you guys do the rest of them? Why am I doing all of these? You need practice. I'm getting carried. I'm having so much fun I couldn't stop. But yes, I do.